We've said that the term cognition refers to mental states like knowing and believing, and to mental processes that we use to arrive at those states. So, for example, reasoning is a cognitive process. Reasoning, 推理論法 is a cognitive process, so it's perception. We use information that we perceive through our senses to help us make decisions, to arrive at beliefs, and so on. And then there are memory and imagination, which relate to the knowledge of things that happened in the past or may happen in the future. So perceiving, remembering, imagining are all internal mental processes that lead to know or believing. Yet, each of those processes has limitations. Has limitations and can lead us to hold mistaken beliefs and make false predictions. Take memory, for example. Maybe you have heard of studies in which people hear a list of related words. Let's say a list of different kind of fruit. After hearing this list, they are presented with several additional words. In this case, we'll say the additional words were blanket and cherry. Neither of these words was on the original list, and well, people will claim correctly that blanket was not on the original list. They also claim incorrectly that the word cherry was on the list. Most people are convinced that they heard the word cherry on the original list. Why do they make such a simple mistake? Well, we think because the words on the list were so closely related. The brain stored only the gist of what they heard. For example, that all the items on the list were types of the fruit. When we tap our memory, our brains often fill in the in details, and quite often these details are actually false. We also see this feeling phenomenon with perception. With perception is the details, and quite often these details are actually false. Faculty that allows us to process information in the present as we take it via our senses. Again, studies have shown that people will fill in information that they thought they perceived even when they didn't. For example, experiments have been done where a person hears a sentence, but it is missing the word that logically completes it. They claim to hear that word even though it have heard was never said. So if I were to say the sunrise is in the and Then fail to complete the sentence. People will often claim to have heard the word east in cognitive psychology. We have a phrase for this kind of inaccurate filling in of details. It's called a blind spot. The term originally refers to the place in our eyes where the optic nerve connects the back of the eyes to the brain. There are no photoreceptors in the area where the nerve connects to the eye, so that particular area of the eye is incapable of detecting images. It produces a blind spot in our field of vision. We are unaware of it because the brain fills in what it thinks of detecting images. It produces a blind spot in the field. It thinks belongs it in image. So the picture always appears complete to us. But the term blind spot has also taken on more general meaning. It refers to people being unaware of a bias they may affect their judgment of the subject. And the same blind spot phenomenon that affects memory and perception also affects imagination. Imagination is a faculty that some people use to anticipate future events in their lives. But the ease But the ease with which we imagine details can lead to unrealistic expectations and can bias our decisions. So, Peter, suppose I ask you to imagine lunch salad to no problem, right? But I bet you imagine specific ingredients. Did you have tomatoes, onion, lettuce in mind? Our brain fill in all sorts of details that might not be a part of other people's image of a salad, which could lead to disappointment for us. If the next time we order a salad in a restaurant, we have our imagined salad in our mind, that's not necessarily what we'll get on our plate. The problem is not that we imagine things, but that we assume what we've imagined is accurate. We should be aware that our imagination has that built-in feature, that blind spot, which makes our prediction fall short of reality.